Ring, ring, ring. Happy Monday, everyone, and welcome back to Krown's magical Prediction Cave.
Well. Welcome back to Krown's Crypto Cave. It's prediction time. We got some buy the DERPs, and holy moly, man, there's actually a lot to talk about today with looking at traditional markets opening up for the week. So with that in mind, I would like to wish you the best and the happiest. And let's waste no time getting into it right straight away on the Krown Chain application, which we found at app.krownchain.net. By the way, it's 100% free, so take advantage of it or don't. It's all good either which way. And we're going to be adding a lot to it later this month, that is. And so keep an eye out for that. Anyways, with that said, what can we see that we already haven't seen over the last couple days? Well, first things first, the big thing that does stick out like a sore thumb right here is open interest boosting up another almost $500 million. We saw it get down to about $7.5 billion at the end of last week, now hovering just above just below 8.2 billion, that is. So with that in mind, this still does play into the long-term analysis that Bitcoin is essentially being reaccumulated right here. We are seeing open interest essentially move up with price action off, especially those $45,000 lows thus far, and that still is the basing of this formation for what it's worth. Now, with all of that in mind, does that necessarily mean that we're just going to be going up fucking moon mode, straight up green dildos to the goddamn heavens in the shorter-term timeframes? Well, probably not. I mean, when we're talking about like a daily, weekly, monthly trend, not necessarily talking about like an hourly or 4 hour, for example. So with that in mind, that'll be a big focus of today, of course, as always, bifurcating all time frames, because that is what's actually necessary, especially when we're talking to a worldwide audience here, of which everyone has different sorts of perspectives, right? Anyways, fear and greed index also heading up a few points from when we last looked, all the way up to an 81. Not anything too crazy right there. But more or less still the market is optimistic, which you would expect after going basically 6x from 10,000 to 60,000 without any sort of major pullback. Although you could say that the $40,000 to $30,000 30% pullback was pretty damn big. Anyways, into the market data tab. Well, no, before we go into the market data tab, this is just insane right here. Top 10 coins and top worst coins. What the actual fuck? Engine Coin 44.5% on the day, or in the last day, I should say. Decentraland 26.5%. Horizon, what the fuck is that? Don't know. 20.5%. Urine Finance, I think that's at YFI Yams or whatever the hell, 20% as well. And we even see Uniswap back up there. So I imagine that the DeFi coins, the DeFi tokens, the DeFi whatever the fucks are looking pretty damn good. And perhaps it would be worth checking in on today. Anyways, into the market data tab we go, and let's see what we have back on over here. So again, I think that it becomes very visually apparent when you do look at the open interest read versus price action right here, that yes, again, the main disposition of this, or the main interpretation of this last couple weeks of price action, is more or less accumulation above the $40,000 level. So I would be looking at that as a major base. Now, again, with that in mind, does Bitcoin just go straight up moon mode from here? I think that there's a few things that would suggest that it's maybe time for a bit of patience right now, but overall things are good. So again, if you are that more long-term minded, and for myself, who actually do have, like a long-term hodl stack, if you will, or, just ones that I don't really touch. And, am I inclined to make any decisions with that? No, obviously not, because that's a long-term thing. Don't really have any real reason to be de-risking off of what would be, a little bit of daily down and whatnot. However, if things turn into the weekly, then yes, that actually matters for myself. But just kind of sharing my own perspectives on this, because I actually do play a little bit of that as well. And I don't really think that is all that concerning, at least for right now. So for myself, at least, I look at that as more or less good for the long term, again, which is what that is prioritized towards. Now, of course, when it comes to the trading stack, a little bit different there, obviously. And sorry, not open interest, but the funny rate down here actually rising up a little bit from yesterday to today, or I guess over the last couple of days, up to about 0.1%. So if we go into the chart action back down here, or sorry, I guess you could call this more like a graph. Anyways, if you want to be super specific with it, we do see that it's really only buy bit above the threshold right here. I don't really see that as consequential in and of itself. Need to see 3 or more exchanges above that, usually for like 48 hours plus. That's actually what we did see on the current high of about $58,000 for Bitcoin price action. So with all of that in mind, I don't really see anything that's too concerning right here. I still look at this as more or less healthy. And what's more important is that we are seeing that the interest rates, or the funny rates, if you will, are really maintaining at a more, what's the word that I'm looking for? At a more normalized level, if you will, below that threshold, as Bitcoin actually is even is holding about $50,000. So I look at that again as a bullish reset in line with the other line, with the other underlying market dynamics, like the open interest and of course price action as well. So all of those things coming together, and then we want to go check in on price action itself and see exactly what's going on. But before that, let's check out what the premiums on the futures versus perps are, and actually are dissipating a little bit from this weekend, but ultimately, I don't really see anything that's too out of the ordinary right there. We want to see it, more or less closer to each other. When they do get a little bit too aggressive away from each other, that is, sometimes a little bit of a cause for concern. You can see that does, perpetuate itself for a little bit of time. And actually, what I really want to do is I want to get a statistical analysis of the difference between perps and futures price, because there actually is a really good relationship that does show that it's time to, essentially it's time to be aggressive versus it's time to be maybe looking to take a little bit of profits. And in this case over here, you can see that the more differentiated that they are, the more and more that it is likely that we do see a bit of a reversal of which we did see over there, now coming back into parity. And I do look at that as, again, more or less good for the long term, but until we actually get that next signal, I mean, there's not really much to be looking at right there, so I probably won't be spending too much time talking about that as I search for my words, man. I feel like I got a good night of sleep last night, but man, I feel like my brain's also a little bit on the slow side today. So let's check out what the Bitcoin dominance chart is looking like here too. We actually have seen the lowest level that we've seen in a couple weeks now, right below 60%. I'm going to do the rounds on that chart today. But again, I'm starting to feel like the Bitcoin dominance chart over the last month or 2 months is just becoming less and less relevant because the altcoin market in its totality is not all related to each other as it once was, even like a year ago. So I do think that separating all the different sectors, mostly just the DeFi sector from the majority of generic altcoins would be a good idea. Of course, there are, some from the prior eras that are still, more or less fine, I suppose. But we're seeing certainly major differences of behavior between the coins that, were never really supposed to be like much of anything. Like you can't really get away with just having a fucking white paper nowadays and expecting your coin to go fucking moon mode, getting valued at like $1 billion before it even has a working product. Like I think those days are very much over. So we are seeing the market mature, which is a good thing. Again, long term, very much a good thing. So I think with all of that said, it's time to maybe go into the charts. I'm just checking over here. Is there anything that I've missed thus far? And probably yes, but we'll get into it soon enough. And let's go on into our lovely, lovely, lovely charts over here. And I actually want to start off with SPY futures today. The reason being because I do believe that all these markets are essentially correlated with each other. And if we do see a move on traditional markets, especially, probably going to line up with what Bitcoin's doing as well. Now, if you remember, last week on Friday, we actually did have a pretty damn good closure for traditional markets. SPY closing above, SPY closing above some very specific pivots, and same thing with Nasdaq and especially Dow Jones as well. And that is again good for the long term, but short term we do see obviously a pullback in progress right here, lower highs as it is right now on the hourly, and that is going to come alongside hidden bearish evidence right here between this point and this point. And I would be having a short term target very likely back down to about $3,800, maybe a little bit lower than that. Same thing on Nasdaq. This one being a little bit more obvious as it does hang around the 21 right now. Now, could have a short-term move back up to about 12.6, maybe yes, maybe no, but ultimately I do think that this one does come back down and retest 12.4-ish region or 12.350 and essentially just backfill last Friday open. And that's actually more like, let's see exactly where is that? 12 is actually just above 12.400-ish region. So I'd be looking for a bounce off that, off that level as well. But ultimately, I do think that we have seen a nice low for most traditional markets thus far on the daily. So short-term downside is only just that, short-term downside. I do like the reversals that happened on Friday, and for what it's worth, right now I give it the nod until proven otherwise at this point, and that again does bode well for Bitcoin on the daily. But on the short-term time frames, does it play out a bit of a pullback? Very likely, yes, I'd imagine, as we do see momentum also switch around to a bullish posturing, I suppose. Coming from that angle right there. Not necessarily the most confidence-inducing, but it is. At least it will have a chance later tonight. And then same thing on Dow Jones over here too. This one obviously acting the best of the big three indices right there. And I would be looking for a little bit of short-term downside, just like the other two. This one certainly again stronger, maybe all the way back down to about 31,300-ish region. However, I would be looking for bounce around there, and then we'll come back into check out how the general market is doing. Anyways, match that up with what Bitcoin is doing over here on CME futures. Again, same sort of thing, hitting our sort of range highs as it would be. Sorry, this is not optimized for an hourly, but actually do think that the hourly does get it rather well on CME right here. And I'd be looking for a nice little gap fill back down to about 4,900, or sorry, not 4,900, but 49,000. Very, 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 very likely, I do think. But ultimately, that's not really going to do too much for, describing the range, as the range is more or less the same as it has been since basically, what is this, last week of February? Yes, we're working on about 2 weeks now, 2.5 weeks. It's starting to mature, yes, but I do think that we have a little bit more time in this and probably does set it up for a breakout. Maybe not this week, but perhaps the last 2 weeks of March, I do think is probably a high likelihood of that. Anyways, looking at momentum oscillators right here, we do see that lower term timeframes are trending down right now. See hourly Stokes nice and south. We see hourly RSI hidden bearish divergence, and we do see that it's actually getting kicked out of the bullish control zone right here. Again, long term, this is actually pretty damn good. I have no major issues with this long term, or as long term as you can get on hourly. But short term, yes, I would be looking for a little bit of downside, and that likely does turn into an opportunity. So matching this up with what we see on spot price action over here by going to the Bit Mexican charts, we actually do see a little bit of a counter analysis on the very short term timeframes. A little bit of hidden bullish evidence potentially being populated right here could very much come to fruition, but I would not be looking for that to actually break the range highs in this case. I do think that the range still holds, at least for now, and sets it up for a little bit of an opportunity, perhaps later this week. Later this week, that is. So with all of that in mind, I still do look at this as more or less likely to test the downside. But is this the time to be buying the DERP? I don't know. It could be time to buy the DERP again, depending upon your dispositions and your sort of preferences as a trader, or maybe a long-term investor, if that thing even exists. I do think that a little bit of patience here could be warranted. But of course, the ranges are still more or less the same. So all of that is well documented, and we can get into that in just a second. But I do want to identify that the 4-hour Stokes coming back down right now, they will inevitably cross to the downside with any sort of a closure here or lower, that being below about 50,700-ish region. 4-hour RSI, again, I actually really like this long term. Very, very good long term. Short term, just a little bit of sideways is what I'm looking for right there. And HVP trending all the way down since what we saw in last week of February does line up with a breakout, maybe even this week. I mean, it very well could be. I guess I already have this regression drawn in here, but you can see that this is really starting to wedge itself into a tighter and tighter area. So naturally speaking, I would be looking for a break of this, meaning that volatility once again spruces back up, and likely good enough to break the range on a 4-hour, somewhere around here, which would be the 9th or 10th of March. So actually maybe in these next couple of days. So perhaps I change my opinion on the breakout likely coming over the next couple of weeks. It actually could very well be this week, maybe middle of this week, as that would as that would suggest. Anyways, let's see what the other lower term timeframes are saying right now. Do we have a nice little concert of action? Yes, it looks like we do. 3-hour Stokes coming down healthily right now too. Same thing with 3-hour RSI. Again, long term good, very constructive. Short term sideways. Short term a little bit of sideways right there, and we do see the same thing on HVP, except not as obvious on the 3-hour. Bi-hourly, same shit here too. And we even see it's all the same signatures right now. Actually, these are all in concert, all in unison, which is good for confluence. And again, bi-hourly Stokes down, bi-hourly RSI, even having some regular bearish divergence off the highs right there. So again, if I did have call things right now, short term sideways and down, but I'm not calling a big bad breakdown here. Do I think that Bitcoin could still have a nice downside move to $45,000 or even $40,000? Yeah, I do think so. I mean, I still see comments anytime that I even mention that Bitcoin's possible to go to $40,000 based off historical relevancy. There's always at least a few people who are like, "You're fucking crazy if you think Bitcoin can go down to $40,000." Hey man, that's not even a big move. That's not even a big move at all. What scares me more is that people think that that's not possible, and I think that that's just what blows my mind is that people would feel so confident to even say that to begin with. Just shows that they have not had very much experience within this game. I'm not trying to pick on people here, but I do think that it's kind of a given that if you've been in these markets long enough, especially Bitcoin, even the last year to 2 years in Bitcoin, you've seen a lifetime of price action, and by now you already know that if it can happen, it will happen, and of course it can happen. So at the end of the day, the medium-term time frame range is still very much right here, 51,500-ish region to the upside versus $45,000 to the downside. On our medium-term timeframes. And if Bitcoin does break this to the upside, yes, I would switch around at least for a short-term continuation move to the upside. Somewhere around the 272 to the 414 right here would be about right. I would say that's just above $54,000 to $55,000. Any sort of a breakout above there, then I actually do start to get into trending motion once again for Bitcoin, looking for new all-time highs. Next targeted region would be the 3-spot extension over here at $62,000. This one's been pretty damn accurate thus far, so I have no real reason to let go of this one, calling actually the $58,000 high well in advance, which we had documented coming in all the way from this base from $40,000 to $30,000. So I still really like that, and overall, I do think that Bitcoin will, inevitably not inevitably, but very, very likely move its way onwards and upwards from this range. But do we get another test of the downside first? I think that's a little bit more likely, perhaps early this week, and then maybe sets it up for a breakout, perhaps later this week or next week, perhaps. Anyways, let's see. Okay, so we got all of that. Okay, we got through all the lower term timeframes right there. Let me check on the time. Okay, 26 minutes. All right, so we're still good on that. And let's see what the medium term timeframes are saying and suggesting right now. Again, 12-hour looking good, actually. 12-hour Stokes holding to the bullish control zone, twisting back up. Do like that. 12-hour RSI sideways. So again, this is very much within the context of a sideways reaccumulation. I mean, that is a very, very good read on the 12-hour RSI, going all the way back to, even October, actually. You could even extend that a little bit more till July, but I'd say certainly since October. And so when we are talking about a 12-hour, we're not necessarily talking about like this exact moment of price action, but over the longitudinal period of time, I do really like this as the next sort of market base, so to speak. And with that said, is there anything else that I want to talk about on this time frame? No, not necessarily. I think it's time to go into the daily and see what we got going on over here. What do you know? Daily 10 simple and 21 having a bullish cross. If you're in the program, we do have a video on that. Or actually, no, I have that one on YouTube, and we even do have hidden bullish divergence being confirmed on that last little higher low right here, if you will. Now, I would say that that's more or less played out. That was confirmed. Looks like not yesterday, but the day before that. So that got the move from about $49,000 to 51.5. Yeah, I'd say that that's very much relevant for that. And daily Stokes are popping back up here too, playing off the same, or are we playing off the same trend line? No, we're not. That one was actually broken to the downside on that move below $48,000. So very interesting right there. But ultimately does play into the narrative that medium long term, good. Short term, probably a little bit of downside here. Anyways, by daily, we actually are going to see, or very likely to see, another try to actually cross this baby back up. Now, keep in mind, this is also coming in line with this trend line coming in from our lows in September and in January right here. So that was your $10,000 lows, and then your reaccumulation lows at about $30,000. If this one does twist back around here, which by the way is right at the edge of the bullish control zone, so that is really good confluence. And naturally will kind of initiate some bot buying. I would look at that as another good signal that Bitcoin is going to, at the very least, try another upside move towards a prior high at about $58,000, and very likely make new all-time highs after that. We even have the same sort of hidden bullish divergence here present after playing out the bearish divergence off the top. And so this one, calls the top right here, tells you to hits the move down to the 21 exponential average right here, and then a hidden bullish divergence not yesterday, not the day before that, but the day before that, or sorry, the tick before that. So far so good, and that actually would be good enough for very likely producing a move towards that $54,000 to $55,000 level. That's the one that's very much interesting, at least in my opinion, for further continuation to the upside. 3-day, do we have anything to just talk about right here? Still kind of downside angle, but we have the same sort of hidden bullish divergence signature right here too. So next move, as far as the 2-day and 3-day goes, very likely up. So any sort of short-term downside right now actually would be looking at as a major opportunity. So is it a time to be buying the DERP if you are on the higher term timeframes? I mean, it does look like it's actually pretty damn good right here, and I'm sure that someone's going to bring up the 3-day sell signal, which we said on spot price action, not really right there. That's not really what we're looking for. But I do still look at CME, and I look at it with great reservation, because this actually is a pretty damn good one. So if I did want to represent the other side, that would be my best case for it right now. But could that be incorporated even with a little bit of medium term upside? Could be, yes. I mean, that would be a little bit of cause for concern. So I would still, I would still express a little bit of reservation here. But ultimately, there are certainly more good things going on than bad things, especially long term, and I imagine that any sort of a downside move to those lower targets, whether it be $45,000 or $40,000, would be a major opportunity. So with all of that said, I think it's time to let's check out caretaker ranges over here. And what do you know? I'm looking at the hourly right now, and it is getting the upside very much confluent with what we just looked at in the shorter term timeframes. 51,700 on the hourly. Let's actually go to a 4-hour right here, because it actually should naturally get the range thus far. And what do you know? There we go, right around 51, basically $52,000 right there. to the upside versus range lows at about $45,000. So once again, still getting that, and it would suggest that yes, any sort of move down to $45,000 is a major opportunity. Right now, we actually are in a critical bull zone, strong rising trend. So fair enough. Caretaker's a little bit more bullish right now. I am not as much, especially with momentum turning down right here too. So I or very likely to turn down here at least, as long as we don't see a 4-hour closure above $52,000, it will naturally remain to the downside. So with all of that in mind, I do still think that a little bit of patience here is probably the way to go, at least for myself. Of course, it's not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor, but I hope that this can in some way be valuable to you so that it can maybe enhance your own decision-making prowess. So with all of that said, we got through traditional markets, we got through Bitcoin. Do you want to check out anything else? Or do we just want to get to comments right now? Maybe I want to... I feel like I'm missing something big. Oh yeah, I want to check out the Bitcoin dominance just to see what it's doing right here. Are we still holding those lows or what? And actually 3 days looking like a clear move down once again. Oh, Jesus Christ, man. Yeah, this actually might be moving down. Let's see what let's see what the altcoin index is looking like right here too. It's actually looking for a reversal on this. And what do you know? Actually, a little bit of short-term upside probably does have a move back up to about 3.6 million Satoshis on Ethereum Bitcoin pairing. But would I be looking at that as an opportunity to actually continue? Well, at least short term, yes, it does have a little bit of upsides there. You know what? I think I'd hold off on saying anything more than that because it would be a little more relevant to actually just look at some of the DeFi tokens. I'm curious what Uni is doing because this one does seem to drive the market quite a bit. And what do you know? This one's in clear breakout mode right here. I'd be looking for unicorns to continue to increase versus Bitcoin. Clear breakout above the, what is this? Jesus Christ, man. Let's just say 63,300 Satoshi level. I'd be looking for this one to enter into blue sky territory once again. A little bit of price discovery here. And so Uni bullish, actually, quite bullish, in fact. So nice one right there. And that likely does imply that the DeFi market in its whole very, very likely does move up here. Again, I wouldn't necessarily expand that interpretation to all altcoins. They're not all created equal. Fucking altcoin racist over here, but it is true. As I would be looking for most of the things that fall under this umbrella to continue with that as we have seen in the past. Anyways, okay, so I think that's about it for what I wanted to get out in the this early morning stream right here. Let's go into the comments and see what we got going on. And Jesus Christ, what's up, Nimbo? I see our trusty and lovely moderator over there. There we go, baby. There we fucking go. Script Skynet says, how did Elsa's friend's birthday party girl? Wait, what? BNT USD possible long-term breakout. All right, let's check it out. BNT, huh? BNT. What is this? Bancor? Is that what this is? Yeah, Bancor. Yeah, this one's a 2017 shitcoin, isn't it? But it's actually looking pretty good, at least on the short-term time frames. See what the daily is looking like over here, and actually pretty damn good as well. Reapproaching those prior all-time highs. This one looks like it does want to enter into blue sky breakout territory as well. It looks like we already even tested the closing high to about 980-ish region. Looks like we're already kind of getting the pullback from that here too. So I would be looking for short-term pullbacks, feeding into long-term continuation. In fact, even looking at the short-term right here, this is clearly looking like it wants to make new all-time highs, maybe even from its current posturing. So higher term time frame is very, very good. You didn't include a time frame yourself, but I'd be looking for overall continuation here. If it did come all the way back down to like 680 or 690 or just anywhere below $7, I look at that as a major opportunity as well. But ultimately, upside, up only. No, not up only. That's that's a meme. That's a meme. Although a very, very good meme. And I give a massive shout out to Crypto Cobain, but he probably doesn't even know I exist. And but I love his fucking memes. He's great. He's fucking great. Really cool guy. It seems like. Thank you for that, Mr. JR. But feel free to post a message too, man. It's all good. I'm here to chat right now. So, but I do appreciate that, I suppose, as well. Rose Production says Vet BTC looking bullish, baby. Is this one of those fucking Chinese shit coins once again? I remember seeing this one in 2017 too. Let's see what Binance is looking like. Oh, is it bullish? Is it Bula-ish? I mean, yes, it is going to be bullish here. This is actually very reminiscent of what Cardano did off of its lows. Now, I would say this chart obviously a laggard within the altcoin space. So when you are thinking of things in terms of what's called relative strength, I would be considering, I would kind of be looking at Cardano maybe even as a bit of a baseline here, just because that one was one of the first moves, was one of the more stronger ones. And we did get bullish on this one right around this level right here. Now I actually want to take a second to explain this one a little bit more. So remember this level right here. Why did things turn around from being bearish from the last like 3 years to this level right here where I said, all right, well, I guess this one's fucking bullish now, even after picking on it for so long. was because we saw a weekly reversal. Obviously, higher lows on the weekly plus higher highs. And what's more important about that is we're actually seeing the exact same thing happen in BTC right here. Again, it being a laggard would imply that it's probably not going to get as great of a move as what we saw in Cardano. But I would be looking for some short-term upside here, short-term, medium-term upside, probably back up to about 134 satoshis, which on a 114 satoshi name is going to be quite the move actually. So both bullish on the daily and weekly. Even the daily has a golden cross coming in right here too. So it is looking like a lot of the laggards are starting to get their turns, and we are seeing the rotational markets kind of start to favor, like I would say, the medium-term shit coins. And still, the very, very shit ones are not getting much love. I imagine if we go check out, and apologies for the hurt feelings that are going to come from this, but Litecoin, Bitcoin, I mean, this one still clearly looking like absolute dog shit. Now, at the end of the day, throughout the whole market cycle, are they all going to get their chance? Very likely, yes. We saw the same thing in 2017, where your 2013, your 2014 shitcoins, they did rally last, and they did join a little bit of it, but not as impressive gains as what you saw on the current crop of shitcoins. So with all of that in mind, newer things typically are going to be in a better inherent position to try some upside, just because they don't have that that prior overhead resistance, and all the people who were trapped much lower, as you do see for example on what we just looked at with VET. Anyways, let's see. All right, what else we got? Sty Guy Bob says thoughts on the new episode of Mushoku Tensei. Mushoku Tensei. Thank you. Hi. I don't know. I've never heard of it, so probably not. I don't really watch too much TV, but I have been getting into one show recently. It's fucking awful, but it's also great, and it's called Superstore or Cloud9, whatever the fuck it's called. It's actually got some good characters in it, and Elsa and I like to kind of, wind down the night by watching that and just turning the brains off of, which is a pretty good show for that. But yeah, man, fair enough. It sounds like it's maybe anime or something, of which I actually did watch my first anime with Elsa, I think like a month or two ago, and it was pretty fucking insane. So if you got some suggestions for that, I'd be happy to check them out. Maybe even that's a suggestion right there. Is it on Netflix? Is it on Finnish Netflix is the real question, because Finnish Netflix is not the same. Anyways, new 510 says, Krown bro, new bro, can you check out FTM USD perped on Binance? Sure, man. I got you. When it's kitchen time? I don't know, whenever Elsa decides to stop being a lazy bitch and clean off those damn forks. All right, let's see. FTM USD perps. All right, yeah, laugh it up. You think that's funny? You think spousal abuse is funny? Haha. Yeah, this is great. This is fucking great. This is the perfect place for 2021. I'm sure that YouTube's gonna absolutely love that, and I will certainly see this video is gonna be continued to be monetized. All right. So with that in mind, you said 4 hour and daily. All right. Well, daily right here is actually looking pretty good for what I can see, but let's zoom it out a little bit. Yeah, and in what would be known as a blue sky breakout. Price discovery is the name of the game here. Technically speaking, not making new all-time highs right now, but you can see that it is kind of cradling the lows above the 21 exponential moving average. Clear reaccumulation alongside a potential hidden bullish divergence signal right here, which is not just two stabs of that, but would be 1, 2, 3, 4 stabs of it. So I'd look at that as pretty damn good. Yes, very likely to pop back up, test that 65-cent region, and probably try higher than that over time. You also said a 4 hour. Would it be more immediately bullish here too? Yes, I would say that 4 hour Stokes twisting back up. Also, looks like it already played out the hidden bearish divergence right here. Barely, and HVP being extremely low. I probably would be looking for this next expansive phase to very likely test back up towards, the short term, probably like just above 53.5 cent region, and then lead on into daily continuation maybe over the next couple weeks. So looking, actually looking pretty decent there. To be fair. So it does seem to me that right now is kind of the time of the altcoins, especially as long as Bitcoin is sideways more or less between that, what would it be, about $55,000 and $45,000. Justin Tafoya, what's up, Justin? MicroStrategy on NASDAQ, weekly bounce off the 21. Was that the dip or more downside? Thank you, good sir. All right, let's check it out. MicroStrategy right here, do you have at 620? Nice number. Did we hit our downside target? It looks like we did. We said right above 50, sorry, not 50, but $500. Looks like we already got that, but was that the dip is the question. I am not so sold on that just yet. We do see that there is potentially major hidden bearish divergence here. So as long as it's below, let's call it 655, I would say that it's still in question. But I'd look for the major generals of this market to kind of give the direction on this one. And again, short term actually is downside implied on NASDAQ, on SPY, on on Dow Jones as well. But I do think that after backfilling like last Friday's open, we probably see a bounce. So, if I did have called this one right here, maybe comes back down a little bit below $600, but I'd be looking for bounce territories within that, at least in line with the traditional, with the rest of the traditional markets. And we can just use last week's hourly closing low at 545.5 as a bit of a basing point as well, meaning that as long as it's above there, yeah, you can make the argument that yes, maybe this is, your next major low. We do see that momentum oscillators are going to naturally start to shift up right here. And plus, we do see that there's no hidden bullish divergences to be spoken about right here. That one already played out for that move from this point to this point. So what's happening right on over here is a different segment as it is right now. What about the weekly? Yeah, weekly bounce off the 21. I'd probably be looking for this bounce to try a little bit more to the upside later on this week. So maybe a short-term downside in line with what we see on the major U.S. indices, and then very likely later this week does try a bounce back up, probably towards $700, maybe a little bit more than that. And then I'd want to see it in real time. I don't think that I'd be comfortable calling this like the next major low, the BTF DERP sort of opportunity. But I do think that it's potential right now. But I just want to see the short-term, medium-term timeframes play out first, and then we'll come back to it probably later this week and see if it still kind of holds that. Anyway, Script Skynet says, I meant, how did Elsa's friend's birthday party go? Oh, yeah, it was actually pretty damn good, man. Elsa and her friend kind of had like synonymous birthdays, I suppose. So we had a bunch of their friends over, and it was really, really nice. I was playing VR and girls were dancing, and I was in heaven. It was amazing. Fun times, man. Finnish girls are actually great because they can just because they know their limits. Yeah, we'll put it that way. Let's see, does Litecoin look doomed for the downside, Litecoin USD? I'd be hesitant to say that anything's kind of doomed for the downside here with the way that the general market's looking like. No, I don't think so for Litecoin USD. I think it's very clearly gone through its sort of own reaccumulation over the last couple of years since May 2018 to where we're at right now. And I do think that is generally going to follow the market. Now, short term, does it have a little bit of downside? Probably yes. Well, actually, no, short term, it's looking good here. Short term is actually looking pretty good. I'd probably be looking for another move back up towards $200. Long term, again, good. I'd like to see another opportunity back down to about 175 or 173 region. But ultimately, I do think that this one does have some more upside. You see clear hidden bullish divergence forming right now between this point and this point. But the only way that you can confirm this as a local low is by, well, if we take out the prior highs, that can do it. Yeah, that'd be a pretty damn aggressive way of doing it. I don't think that would do it exactly for myself. But if we saw maybe a daily close above that last range high from last week, which would be about 207, then yes, I would be looking at that as, confirmed local low, and that leads into not daily, but weekly continuation. And weekly continuation on something like this would imply the next target in the very deep 200s, like 270 to 275-ish region, and then probably sets it up for new all-time highs. I mean, again, this whole market is entering into a rotational phase once again, and we're seeing essentially I'll use the F word here, the fractal, which actually does work when you're talking about market cycles, in my experience. So looking at Litecoin in its current posturing, is it likely to retest the prior all-time high alongside the rest of the market as kind of already done that? Yes. Is it a little bit concerning that Litecoin's doing it now? Well, yes, it would imply that it's relatively weak in comparison to your first movers like Bitcoin, like Ethereum, and the majority of the DeFi sector as well. So generally speaking, bullish, yes. Does it have another opportunity back down to like 175 or 170? I think that is rather likely, yes. But again, I would be looking at that as an opportunity more bluntly. Of course, not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. Burnt creme de la creme. Would you look at CGC, Canopy Growth? Yeah, of course, man. I remember looking at this one a couple years ago, and it was kind of like crypto all over again. This one looks very obviously like long term. It is going into accumulation, but we just hit a weekly high right here. Clear rejection. I would be looking for this one over the next few months to just fill out the space between where it's at right now and the current lows of about $14. I do think that it's going to spend a lot more time within this region. This is very similar to what we saw in 2019 with Bitcoin hitting the $14,000 level right here, and I'm talking about this rally right here. Clear lower highs on the weekly, yes, but long term, is it good? Yes, I would say so. And kind of the same thing on CGC. Now let's see, did you give a time frame for that? You said, would you look at CGC medium to large term? Okay, I'm not sure what that means to you. It's a 420 stock, I'm aware, called Canopy Growth. What, this weed ticker isn't for weed? What the fuck have I been sold onto? That has been pumped and dumped into most categories of late. Go Ducks. Hey, go Ducks. Anyways, Yeah, so looking at daily right here, I'd probably be looking for a daily bounce. It's probably gonna have a little bit of a short-term rally, maybe even trade all the way back up to like 36.5 or maybe even the deeper 30s. But ultimately, I don't think that this rally continues here. I do think that this rally fails. You come back down into the accumulation ranges, and the real opportunities are down below $20 right here. And then long term, it will give it very, very likely gives another try to the upside. But the clear indication that this is your top for now is the volume climax on what would be a reversal dildo as well, plus continuation to the downside. And I imagine momentum oscillators are falling through here too. Yep, weekly Stokes down, weekly RSI, same shit as well. Long term good, yes, but short term, short term very likely bounces here. Like I said, maybe back up to like 37.5 to 38.5, but ultimately I think that rally does fail and you come back into this region and then set it up maybe a little bit later within its life. All right, what else do we got here? Okay, let's see. Andres Ruval says, hello, which HVP are you using now? I'm actually using one of my friends, Mr. He goes by Bear Nutrition. You can still use caretakers as well, but just trying out. I mean, they're all really the same. I mean, it all comes from like the same fucking math. It's literally there's really only fucking one way to do it at the end of the day. So yeah, I wouldn't put too much thought into which one I'm exactly using. It'd be like using a different Stoke, for example, or different or different RSI. It's just it's all gonna be the same base formula essentially. How's Cardano looking? Actually, we haven't checked it out. Well, we kind of did look at it today, but comparing it to something else, what's Cardano looking like right now? Well, if you're looking at the daily, I mean, well, you didn't really give a time frame, so I'm not really sure where you want me to go with this one. I'm curious what the very low term time frames look like here. Yeah, short term, a little bit of bullish divergence coming off the lows. I would be looking for this one to continue back up, probably back up towards about 24, a little bit above, a little bit north of 2,400 satoshis. Momentum oscillator is also going to be twisting back up here too, so I do like both those things, especially in line with each other. So short term up, daily. Daily, I'm not so sold on either which way, but long term is looking good. Can we put in some hidden bullish divergence right here? It would actually fit alongside this trend line too, but we don't necessarily have that confirmed until you actually see a daily closure above 2,400 satoshis, that is, and that would start to imply targets back up to the deeper 2,000s, like 2,600 and probably beyond after that, to be fair as well. So you didn't really give a time frame on that, but generally speaking, generally speaking, go with the market. It's more or less fine here. New 510 says, new view discretion. Krown is not a financial advisor. He's a financial derper. On that note, enjoy the show. Thanks, man. Appreciate that. New bro. Fuck, I need to figure out my alerts back there too. Man, it's been a long time. It's been a real long time. A real long time. But I think with a little bit of searching around the interwebs, I can probably figure that one out. Anyways, let's see. Fox and Hound says, man, a USDT 4 hour, please. All right. What is man? Is this the central land? Is that what that is? USD. That is the central land. Holy shit, man. My memory is somehow serving me well right now. Yeah, very, very good right here. If you recall back on the dashboard, Decentraland, yeah, was up, oh my God, 30.5%. That's fucking crazy. That's just fucking crazy right there. New all-time highs. This one's in price discovery. Or hold on, is it in price discovery? Yes, it is in price discovery. Momentum oscillators all pointing north. So in these sorts of situations right here, actually, we've been seeing hidden bullish divergence being hit off that last low, but a little bit too late to kind of call that one out. But ultimately, what I'm looking for right here, what I look for right here to kind of judge this one is your daily RSI for a trend like this into blue sky breakout territory. I don't think that this one's ending right now or really anytime soon. I'd very likely be looking for new all-time highs. Could we make a target for that? Actually, we could. We do see a little bit of a cup and handle right here. It's not the most obvious one. Well, actually, it is. What is actually pretty damn good. So let's see. What would that be implying in this case? That'd be implying a target of 60 cents. Sorry, yeah, a little bit above 60 cents. It looks like. So I do think that further continuation of the upside is very likely here. More or less looking good, and continuation is the name of the game for now, especially on expanding volatility there. Hambone Crypto says, "Yo Krown, yo Hambone, RSR BTC on Huobi short and midterm." Okay, RSR. BTC? What the fuck is this? Reserve rights. Okay, this is a coin for 2021, baby. Again, obviously popping back up above the accumulation lows. Do we have that much history for something like this? No, not really. But just in line with the general market dynamics right now, do I think that it tries some upside likely from this level? Actually, yes, I do. Looking at the daily, clear higher lows, and this one very likely to continue back up at least towards that last prior high, right around about, 150, 160 satoshis. Again, daily RSI very healthy right there. Daily Stokes will be very likely turning down, but I'd be looking at any sort of a short-term downside as an opportunity here as well. Short-term downside could come in the form of like 130 to 133 region. Again, that's actually quite a big move on a 140 Satoshi name, but more long-term, looking at the daily and weekly, I do think that it retests that prior high from the run in, where was this? 12th of February. So I do think that it retests those highs, probably, and if it can make new highs above this, then we can extend those targets significantly towards about 180 plus. But first things first. What's up, Philson? Good to see you, sir. Good to see you, Mr. Sir. Taylor Bear says, new ciphers here to change the world. New USD. Oh, Jesus Christ. What could this be? What could this be? Is this a promising white paper that I can change and base all my life decisions off of? I think it might just be. Not much history right here to really be going off of, so I always want to call that out when I do see something like this. Do I trust technical enough for something that's this young? No, not really, but I do think that it is rather clear right now. Setting in a base above the 21 on the daily, so it's not that bad as far as history goes. Momentum turning up, plus I imagine that we will confirm hidden bullish divergences here between this point and just about any of the prior higher lows, and that would be confirmed with any sort of a daily closure above 73.7 region, and that would start to populate targets back up to almost just under $1 actually. So if I had to call it right now, do I think it goes back to around $1? Yes, very, very likely actually. But technically speaking, I do always want to say that when I see something that's this young, I don't really trust TA as much for it. New 510 says, oh yeah, one more. But you forgot Krown, bro. You forgot new, bro. Can we check out those Tezzy Wezzies USD? Are you talking about Tezos? Sure. XTZ USD. Oh, Jesus, man. All right, so USD, you said 4 hour and daily. All right, I guess maybe I think Finex is actually the one to go for this one. It probably has the longest history. Yeah, it does seem to actually have a decent amount of history right here. So this is what I want to be looking at. I've actually been looking at this for a long time. Looking at these trend lines from a long time ago too. This one was the key right here. Beautiful. Oh, fucking beautiful, man. Goddamn. Very, very similar charts to a lot of the other ones that we've seen thus far. Hidden bullish divergence already being confirmed off of that last higher low. Yeah, I'd have to be bullish on this one. 485 is where I'd be looking towards. Maybe a short-term pullback from that region, and further continuation to very likely new all-time highs after that. I mean, this one's been good for a long time now, going all the way back to its higher low structure that we saw set in late 2019. That is, again, this one really stands out from the majority of shitcoins as getting accumulated and having these nice, healthy upside moves over a long period of time. Again, compare that with something like, I don't know, just about anything. Well, not anything else anymore. No, but this one very obviously getting some love, and so I do think that it is certainly one of the more relatively strong ones within this market. And if I did call things right now, like I said, I would be looking for a retest of the prior highs, about 485-ish region, and then probably new all-time highs. I mean, this one's very obviously trending. Looks kind of reminds me of Link back here in putting in all of these bases. You can see that this one goes through a long form accumulation and then up. Same thing right here, and now that we're looking at it, I mean, I'll just go as far as saying that we're going to see very, very likely the same thing over here as well. Okay, cool. What else do we have? Lee Reed. Nice. It rhymes. Thoughts on Sushi or Link Daily? Well, we just looked at Links, or we're looking at Link right now. Link Daily, good. I'd be looking for another retest of maybe like $31.50. Does this one get continuation to the prior all-time high after that, about 35? Yeah, I do happen to think so, yes. Sushi, again, everything in this market is just kind of allowed to go up right now. So I'm generally going to be bullish on things on the higher term time frames, just for what it's worth. Anyways, it's kind of like before in 2019. It's like generally going to be bearish on fucking everything, right? That's just the market. In 2018 especially as well. Anyways, Sushi, USD, I'm guessing Binance is probably the chart to go to for this one. Yeah, pretty damn good here too. Similar to unicorns as well, which I think it kind of competes with. But we see clear hidden bullish divergence calls being hit off the lows thus far. We even see daily stocks turning down right now. So we actually see a tale of two different oscillators here, or actually also including the Jewel. Oh, this is actually concerning. The Jewel is actually given a bit of a sell posturing here, but I don't trust it that much because we don't have much history here. We barely even populated the slower moving of the of all these three. So I have to go with the market here in general. I'm going to default to the market in this case, and very likely it does move up alongside Uni. It's kind of like Ripple and Stellar back in the day, where if one side makes a move, the other one's very likely to make a move as well. I'd be saying the same thing here. Very likely back up to about $21 region, and then probably tries higher after that over time. I don't think that this signal plays out. It's a little bit too young in its life to really even populate a good daily, and I expect maybe like a 12-hour could, and we don't even see anything resembling that signal over here on the 12-hour with basically double the information on that one. So in comparison to a daily, so I think still a little bit. I still think upside here is what I'm trying to say. Let's see. El Knight Elohim says EVX USDT. Okay, is this EverX? Holy fuck, man! I actually remember seeing this one. If it is EverX, it is EverX. Holy shit! Holy shit! And you said USD or USTD? USTD, huh? From way back when. This must be like a 2017 or 2018 shitcoin, right? So I'm curious to see how this one has survived over the long period of time. And as suspected, we have, motherfucker, we got the shitcoin police. And we got the shitcoin police coming in nice and fucking hot right now. Now, again, is this thing likely to go up? Yes, it is likely to go up because the rest of the market's just fucking going up, and you get that sort of a market cycle going on right now. But is this thing relatively weak in comparison to most of the other things that we've seen, essentially reapproaching prior all-time highs or making new all-time highs in price discovery? Absolutely, yes. So, in a sea of a million different shitcoins, is this one the one to be gung ho about? In my opinion, well, fuck no. Actually, the answer from my side would be fuck no. Of course, I understand that people fall in love with these things, and that's all well and good. And technically speaking, we got that same higher low structure right here. So it probably does work its way back up to like 92 cents. But when you think of things in terms of opportunity cost, this is certainly not the darling of the market, we'll say. Over a long period of time, this one actually still hasn't even found its uptrend. So if it did start to get back above, let's call it a buck here, then I would start to look at that as full-on reversal. Very likely to retest some of these high structures in like the $4 or $5 range over time. But again, this one certainly on the weaker side in comparison to some of the more strong, just most of the altcoins that we actually looked at today. And this is actually what I've really enjoyed by doing these live streams again, is I didn't really have that sort of connection to the community because I don't really look at altcoins myself. So I was never really looking at too much of these exotic pairs, and it's kitchen time. Forks out, motherfuckers. Get those damn spoons clanking. Jesus Christ, man. It's a fucking kitchen symphony going on right now. And Elf is looking at me like I should be buying the DERP. Anyways, looking at something like this, it certainly does not stand out in terms of altcoins. Is it likely to join the rest of the market? Yes. We're seeing rotations right now. And this sort of prior shitcoin probably getting rotated to the upside as we're looking at it. Let's see, what else did I miss over here? Engine coin to the moon. Actually, it is going to the moon. I saw it on the dashboard down here. 39, basically 40% on the fucking day. Only in altcoin land. Only in altcoin land. ENJ. Okay, I'm guessing you're looking at it versus USD. You didn't give a base pairing. You also didn't give a time frame. So this is just. Engine coin to the moon. Price discovery phase. All-time highs. Fib targets. Thanks. Sir, can you speak fucking English to me, please? Yeah, it is in price discovery. Yes, it is making new all-time highs, and I'd imagine that's going to continue to make new all-time highs for a while. Pretty fucking impressive move right there, to be fair. Short-term, is it actually downside implied? Yes, it is short-term downside implied. We do have bearish divergence forming. If this does confirm a local high right here, closing below 165 and continuation below that would certainly confirm it, and targets initiated to about 140 after that. Again, would I just generally be bullish on it? Yes. And this one certainly stands out in comparison to what we just looked at, right? We've been looking at this one for the last week and a half to 2 weeks now, and we've been saying that, look, from January 2018 to 2020, we've seen a clear signs of accumulation right here. This is really fucking good, and this one definitely deserves respect in the same way that the prior shitcoin that we just looked at does not. This one obviously getting a lot more love, born from the same market cycle as well. So again, in thinking of terms of relative strength, this one is, one of the strong, and typically the strong get stronger as the market cycle does progress, and the weak, they get to fall a little bit, but they get the weakest first when things actually do turn around, of course. Anyways, or you're looking for targets. I don't really have targets to give you on something like this, man. Price discovery is a crazy thing. The best I can do for you is something like this. Which you probably already know, but we'll do it really quickly here. We can just take an extension from the last accumulation cycle, and if I plot literally all of my targets, they've already all been hit. Does that mean that we can't populate more? We certainly can, but this is where things become less and less reliable when you get into these zones like this. And actually, even if I do take it off of this structure right here, we've already we've almost hit all of those targets too. The last one's about 192-ish region, but what I'd be looking for on on something like this is for it to like come back down a bit after maybe hitting that next level at about just under $2, and then form something new, and then you can start to base future targets based off that. But long term looks pretty damn good. New 510 says, Krown bro, effing thank you, bro. Pig emoji, bull emoji. Oh, that's a bear emoji. Hearts and we're gay. What? It's 2021, baby. I'm joining the fucking movement. Justin Tafoya says, Baba, high or low? Baba. All right, yeah, we can look at this one. I remember when this one went IPO years ago, too. Actually, did I? Yeah, I'm pretty sure I did. I'm pretty sure I was around during this time. Yeah, it was 2014. Yes, I do remember that one. All right. Baba, high or low on the weekly 89, or can we grab the 200 EMA? Let's see. So if you are going to be looking at it from this perspective, it's not the most obvious one, I'd say. The general market, though, is suggesting that we do get a little bit of higher lows here. Is it going to go to the 200 EMA? So in this case right here, what I would say is that you do have a clear structure, and I would actually treat this as likely a higher low first, in line with the rest of the market cycle. So that means that if this area does get broken, 225-ish region off the current low, we'll say on a daily, not on a weekly, because I don't think it's necessary to wait for a weekly, but on a daily right here, if you do see this area broken, then yes, I would look for the weekly target to be initiated, and that's significantly lower along this $200 base right here. But for now, I'd actually give it a chance to bounce. Technically speaking, though, there are some concerning things. We do see weekly Stokes are looking like they actually do want to cross the downside, rejecting the neutral zone. Weekly RSI is neutral to bullish actually long term. So I'm hesitant to get full on bearish on this one just due to the general direction of the market right now. I'd give this area a chance first, and I'd treat it as potential low until this area is broken. And targets to the upside would be like back up to like 250, 260-ish region. Medium term, that is. Let's see. El Knight Elohim says SFP USDT. All right. No time frames, no exchanges, but you did get the base pairing. Nice one, man. Nice one. SFP. Very little information on this one, man. I really wouldn't trust technical analysis for something like this, but based off the general market, would I be looking for this one to reapproach this prior this prior range high at about 230? Holy fuck! Turn off the goddamn sink! Jesus Christ! Fucking hate this. It's so goddamn annoying. Hey, for real, shut off the goddamn kitchen. Goddamn. Anyways, I would be looking at this one to probably reapproach that 330-ish region, but I really don't trust TA on something like this. That is this young, to be honest with you, man. I really don't. But if I'm just going off of the general market, then yes, I'd probably be looking for that. But again, I wouldn't stand by that statement. That's more or less a market cycle based analysis rather than like looking at SFP, whatever the fuck that thing is, that monstrosity in front of my eyes. Although it does look pretty good, for the information that we do have. At least it doesn't just go straight down. La Major 23 says, Krown, can you look at XNet long term, please? Okay. XNet. I'm guessing this one's on NASDAQ. Let's see if I've never heard of this thing. XNet. It's like CrossFit for fucking the interwebs. Pretty shitty, man. Oh, if we don't have shitcoin charts, we can do some stock shitcoin charts. Probably a short-term bounce off these levels, but I don't think that bounce gets sustained. If this thing bounced back up anywhere around like above $7, like $7.15, anywhere between about $7 and $7.50-ish region, I'd be looking at that as an opportunity for this one to come back down. Short-term though, yeah, very likely does rally off this, but you didn't really give a time frame for this. It looks like, yeah, oh no, you did say long-term. Well, short-term, medium-term back up, very very likely. Long-term back down. I don't think that this one, or I don't have any real reason to believe that this one's reversed. We see nothing resembling that as far as the volume signature goes. We don't see an uptrend here. We do see a higher low in place, but still lower highs as far as the long term goes, and even weekly Stokes turning down, rejecting the bullish control zone is not a good signal in and of itself. So short term upside very likely does get sold into. I'd be looking for this one to come back down long term to like 3.25-ish region, maybe for the next few months. Likely takes this time. Martin Oglieve says XRP BTC daily. Oh man, if XRP is rallying, we're in the fucking twilight zone of this whole market cycle. And God damn it, XRP, Brad motherfucking Garlic House distributing all over my face. And the shitcoin police have their first call of the day because the shitcoin police need to take this absolute just dumpster fire of a chart away. This is literally textbook. In a more sincere tone, I actually do want to take a second to identify this because I know that there are a lot of new people here. Look, you can find no better of a textbook definition of a fucking pump and dump chart than this. Even doggy coin is. Well, they'd go about hand in hand on this. All rallies fail. Does this one get to join the rest of the market? Maybe at some point, you will see a rally. Yes. I wouldn't be surprised to see this one, try another move, maybe over the next month or two to 5,000 Satoshis, as it typically does get these just straight up pumps out of nowhere. But all rallies fucking fail on this thing, man. There's no real reason to believe that this thing ever reverses that until it actually does reverse that. As you can see, the long term continues until it does not. And that is why I am a strong believer in just long-term trends when you're looking at something like this, because any sort of short-term, medium-term upside is just a chance to sell the absolutely massive supply that's available on this semi-asset, if you will, with all of the litigations going against this as well. I think that it's just a fucking pile. It's just a hot pile of steaming mess. Lobbed into a dumpster fire and sprayed with absolute gasoline dumped from a fucking some sort of stealth bomber from well above in the heavens. This thing is not good, to put it bluntly, as far as charts go. And I'm not even an XRP hater, man. I'm really not. XRP I think is silly. I mean, the XRP army, obviously silly in the same way that gang members of just any old sort are silly, but it's not really any different than the fucking Link Marines, except the Link Marines actually have a good chart, and this one is not a good chart. So there you go. Actually, it's not in any way, shape, or form close to the Link Marines right there. This one is clearly in dire straits right here. I'd say even not even a rally up to 5,000 Satoshis, a rally up to 1,500 Satoshis would be an opportunity on this one. This is just a mess. It's a mess of a chart, an absolute mess of a chart. And again, I'm not even an XRP hater, man. I know that most people in this market just like to rag on XRP because it's kind of the popular thing to do. Look, I mean, it's just like before, when it pumps out of nowhere, it's probably going to pump out of nowhere again. But it will dump very, very likely. That is something that I would strongly trust in. So fair enough on that one. John Johnson says, it's like Dick Dickerson, will Bitcoin's market cap have to grow substantially before we see a reduction in volatility, or is that not really a critical factor? Thanks, Zer Krown. Zer Krown at your service, Zer. Okay, so the question is, does Bitcoin's market cap need to grow before volatility comes down? It's not necessarily related to each other like that. Volatility, well, first off, you have to first define what sort of metric you're using for volatility. If you're looking at something like H3P, that's always going to be relative to each other. But what I think you're probably going off of is something more like this, like an actual historical volatility rank right here, of which you can see that long term it actually is kind of trending down. Yes. So is that going to be a function of the market cap specifically? Technically, no, but is that how it's going to very likely work in practice? Very likely, yes. Very, very likely, yes. Because think about it, when you have more people within the market, more money within the market, there's just going to be more thicker order books, which means that it's going to be more and more difficult to actually move the price, and less, less variance in that is going to naturally start to have the volatility start to be quelled. Similar to what you see in a very mature market like gold, for example. When gold's market cap was a lot lower, you saw a lot more of these more aggressive moves. So it's a function of a couple different things, but obviously back down over here, things were heavily more volatile, as you can see, even from an HVP perspective. But after things did get around the 7 to 10 trillion market cap dollar number, you can see that things certainly went into a lot less of more interesting moves, we'll say. Anyways, so the answer to your question is technically no. In practice, yeah, that's very likely how it does work out. So I don't know how specific I should be on that, just because it's like I could just say no, or I could just say yes, but it's technically not right. Scott Carney says Marathon Digital. Okay, no base pairing and no fucking time frame. Nice one, man. All right, well, Mara BTC popping up absolutely fucking nothing right now, so I'm guessing that's it's a stock. Oh, nice. Okay, some real shit. This is good. Lower highs, baby. We got. What is this? We've switched shitty crypto charts for shitty stock charts. What is the obsession with shitty charts, man? Bearish divergence off the highs, very likely coming back down over the next couple months, down to like the low teens. I'm talking about 12, so not even a teen. I wouldn't even be surprised to see this thing back down towards like $3 over the next like year or two. This is very clearly going to be a lower high right here. Momentum also is turning down across the board. See struggling weekly Stokes. You can see bearish divergence all the way along this one as well, and even the short-term timeframes I match, we're going to see a little bit of topping action. Short-term timeframes aren't as toppy as what I would have expected. You know, it could get another rally back to like $40 or so, maybe yes, but ultimately downside over the long period of time, which you did not identify. So I'm just going to assume that that's probably what you wanted to see. Not my full name. Not my full name. This is my full name. Sand USDT on short, medium term, please, sir. I guess Binance is for the sure. For the sure future. Trust me, I anal. All right, I anal. Sand. And what was it versus US dollar? Okay. Short, medium term. It'd be interesting to know what that means to you as well. But you can see here on the weekly, very obviously in price discovery, daily price discovery looking very good. I'd be looking for this one to make new all-time highs. Can we make another bit of a measure move on this one? Yes, I do think that we can. Whoops, wrong one right there. But a little bit of a cup and handle continuation formation right here. I imagine it actually might already be even hit. Nope, it's still pointed a little bit northwards. I'd be looking for this run to make a stab towards about $0.50, a little bit above $0.50 right there. Very short-term time frames is a continuation. Yeah, likely playing out the hidden bullish evidence right here. I'd say that that's very likely played out already, though, seeing as we just made pretty much new all-time highs off that. But based off the daily, I'd be looking for that one to continue to the upside. Texas Green Tea, nice one, man. Can we call a shitcoin police on NFTs, on all NFTs? I don't think that we can on ENJ, man. ENJ and Mana looking good. So no, the shitcoin police, they need to be summoned when they need to be summoned, but they don't like to come for charts like that, man. If it's in price discovery, you can't really call it a shitcoin, except for just in like a lovingly way, we'll say. Anyways, NFTs put ICO scams to shame. Noobs bid $1 million per year. Okay, so you're more or less making a comment on like the actual technology itself. That's not really what I do, or not really something that I am well equipped to even talk all that much about. I mean, I know a few things about that, but that's not really my game. If you're talking about like the actual fundamentals of these things, I do understand that there are severe concerns with NFTs, and that there is certainly, it's certainly not black and white, and it's not gonna it's not gonna like fucking save the world. And there certainly are a lot of bad actors in there, and it's ripe for actual scams. Yes, would I say that those ones are scams? I'd actually push back on that statement a little bit. And again, I'm certainly not a shitcoin lover here, but ENJ, for example, that one's been around since like 2017 or 2018, and putting in that long form accumulation with with those upside moves is really fucking good. And I'd suggest that that's actually indicative that it's not going to be a shitcoin. Same thing with Mana, except to a lesser extent, and all rare tokens. I don't know about rare tokens or what that's in reference to, but I would agree with you that on the whole, yeah, it's similar to 2017. We're going to see a lot of just failed projects that have no fucking intention to ever satisfy what they set out to do, and they'll just probably end up stealing people's money. Yes, I agree with that, absolutely. But as far as the names that you gave, I'd say that those probably would be the ones that I'd say that's very less likely to be true for, at least. Now, of course, I wouldn't like put my full name behind that, because at the end of the day, have I looked into the team? Have I looked into these projects? Do I understand the fundamentals of them? No, it's just not my game. I don't really care to even look at shitcoins to begin with, except for on these streams. But what I would say is yes, in general, for the greater sphere of things, it's going to be ripe for scams, just because whatever's the new hot thing is going to attract some bad actors, of course, and cryptocurrency is just a hotbed for that sort of garbage. Andres Rival says XYZ shitcoin 1 picosecond chart scam exchange. That is extremely accurate. It's like you can almost just guess what the chart's going to look like just based off of that information alone. It's beautiful. It's absolutely fucking beautiful. Okay, cool. Did I miss anything? Oh my God, I missed a lot of things right here. Okay, hold up. Patrick Craig says, hey, Krown, CBA on the weekly, please, sir. Okay, CBA. I'm guessing this is a stock. A stonk. Are you talking about Australian markets, or I'm gonna guess you're probably talking about Australian markets. And you said on what? On the weekly. Okay, I'm guessing this is what you want to look at. A lot more good things going on here than bad. Oh yeah, definitely a lot more good things going on here than bad things. Long-term uptrend. Short term, we can see that we are in a bit of a descending broadening wedge. This is typically a bullishly resolved pattern. However, I would say that I don't necessarily think that it's going to be resolved like today, so to speak. I do think that next move is very likely down, probably does test back down towards the weekly 10 at about 85.5, and I give it a chance to bounce there. Clear breakout into blue sky territory above 88.90-ish region, especially on a daily closure. So if you see anything like that, this week, I'd be looking for, a retest of the prior all-time highs over the next like month or so, and probably continuation of new all-time highs. But I do like this chart long-term, which I think is what you're referencing. Weekly does have a golden cross actually initiated as of about last month, it looks like. So long-term, I'd actually be looking at this as more or less good. But the question is, does it have a little more downside and maybe fill out the space more in the short and medium term? That I don't have a strong opinion on. Long term, I do, however, which is what you specifically identified. So I'll stop it there. New 510 says pots and pans humping the 21 EMA on the daily. I know we're seeing divergence right now, but thank God it's over, baby. Thank the Lord it's over. DG says Lithuania's on fire. Can you check out daily Solana BTC plays sire? All right. So we got a base pairing and we have a time frame. This is excellent, man. This is like fucking Christmas. So let's see what we got on this one. Well, this is a weekly. Does have the indications of your classic pump and dumps. Does it put in another base right around the 21 at about 25,500-ish region? Probably yes. Yeah, I'd actually be looking for another stab back down there. Do I think it also bounces at the same time? Yes, I do think so. I'd look for this area to hold at least for now. Personally speaking, and now I'm kind of speaking a little bit off cuff here, this is not technical analysis. This is more opinion based, which I know you didn't really ask for, but I'll give you my stupid opinion anyways. And do I think that this ultimately fails right here and probably comes back down towards like 20,000 Satoshis over time? Yeah, I do think so, actually. I actually very much think so, just because I don't trust someone that does this sort of shit. But short term, I'd give it a chance at the very least. I don't see any real reason to get bearish on it, especially as long as it's riding above the 21 exponential average on the daily. So I would at least favor that for now. But if it starts to break those levels, yeah, I'd look for it, over a couple months to work its way back down, actually. Probably back down to like 15,000 to 20,000 Satoshis, again, over time if this level does fail. I very much do think that this one probably does play out some downside, to put it bluntly. Again, weekly Stokes also turning down here too. Well, going to have a chance to turn down at least. Again, not much history on this one, but the history that we do have is more pump and dumpish than actual structiveness, which could just be a function of the fact that we don't know, to be fair, unless you happen to have a chart that does have more history. I'd like to see that more, because that would really help out the long-term analysis as to whether that actually is a what's called threat of a pump and dump sort of chart. Rocky G says, Krown, latest vid on the psychology series was very insightful. Are you doing any interviews like you did with Jackie or maybe someone from the program? Actually, yes. It's really funny that you bring that up. That's actually really fucking funny that you bring that up just in general. So yeah, I'm actually going to be bringing up a couple people from the program prior. I wouldn't say, I don't like thinking of it as like fucking students, but we're going to do an interview with them because I think they have a lot of stories of their own to tell. And I just want people to understand like what this sort of process looks like, because these two guys, one of them kind of already came in and he was already pretty much a professional trader. Like he'd been doing it for a while. But he came in and it's you'll hear a story. He's a very interesting guy. And then the other guy came in kind of a little bit more green. I don't think he was a professional trader beforehand, but he did transition into one. And he was actually one of the more faster guys to do it. He did it I think he did it within a year, a little bit less than a year. So you'll get to hear their stories, and I really want them, and I really want to bring them on so that they can tell their stories, because they have gone through this process. They've gone through this process of becoming a professional trader a lot more recently than I have. So I think that they can tell a more relatable story as they are more in tune with that. And they're also going to have their own little platform as well, which is pretty damn cool. I shouldn't say little, because they actually already have a bigger community than I think we even have here, which is awesome. But they're going to be covering, more like traditional stocks and whatnot, which I just want to, I'll just be handing over the torch to them and saying, hey, if you want to check out traditional markets and have more of a focus on that, then these are the guys to be referencing for that, because they are, fully focused on that. Whereas, I'm more or less focused on Bitcoin, for example. Sty Guy Bob says, Z Krown, Z Bob, LSK UST, Lisk. Is this Lisk? Is this thing still alive? Oh man, I'm actually very interested to see where this one is. This was another 2017 shitcoin. I know you said daily, but I do want to check out the weekly. Yeah, so again, another one that does not stand out in terms of prior market cycle shitcoins. Now, does this one get to join? It very likely does. We can see we have a few higher lows here on the weekly, even a higher high alongside that as well. So it very likely does join the rest of the market. I wouldn't be surprised to see this thing back around $7 over the next month or two. But short term, does it come back down? Because you did specifically say the daily. Hidden bullish divergences all across this low right now. No, I'd say any sort of move towards a 21 probably does get picked back on up and tries a short term move towards like 3.75. But again, compare that chart with some of the other more better acting long-term shitcoins. It's certainly not one of the strong ones, but it's gonna be allowed to join this next rally. Scott Carney says Mara is a Bitcoin mining company now. Oh, okay. Sorry, Mara. Wait, Mara. Wait, so is it a stock? Hold on. Bitcoin mining company now. Let's see. Mara so you're talking about this. So not the crypto. Okay, so I was on the wrong thing. So if you could, and I apologize about that, because I typically do default to cryptos just because that's typically what people are asking. But I'm happy to look at stocks too. Just let me know when it actually is one. And in this case, if we are going to look at Mara stock, I'd basically have the same thing to say here too. I do think that is rather toppy looking right now. Probably does work its way back down towards like $12 over the next few months. Okay, cool. Whoops, missed a couple more right here. Let's see. Gavin Vazdev says, hey, brother, BTC. Yeah, man. I mean, we've been looking at that all day pretty much. To kind of wrap up my short-term thoughts, I do think next move very likely comes to the downside. Probably does retest $49,000 at the very least to refill the CME gap right here. Do I think that we bounce off that level? Perhaps yes, perhaps no. Ultimately, though, I still do like this range as an accumulation range. I'd absolutely love to see another test down to like $45,000. Doesn't mean that we have to get it, but I do think that it is rather likely. Again, based off of the long-term analysis over here on the monthly specifically with a signature that has been 100% consistent amongst the 11-year history of Bitcoin. What I'll reference right now is just the monthly topside Bollinger Bands, of which anytime that Bitcoin is closed above it, we've always 100% of the time seen a test down to wherever the topside Bollinger Band is, and that currently is sitting in around low $40,000. If we go to the bi-monthly, which has the exact same signature as well, a little bit less history to be fair, that same level would be about $39,000. So I do still think that there is a major threat of actually seeing that sort of a move, because we can see that sort of a thing happen two ways. Either test it by coming down and literally testing it, or Bitcoin gets so green this month that it will naturally pull it up because it is a reactive indicator. So with that in mind, what sort of price action would we need to see before that becomes a reality? You'd probably see that happen around like low $60,000, where you'd see the topside Bollinger Band actually testing the bottom side or open of current price action. So I would say I'm still a little bit more angled towards fulfilling the downside of that. But again, my main message is that I actually do think that this is a major opportunity. If I'm just sharing what I'd be doing, I'd say that I'm buying the fucking DERP, if you will. Of course, not financial advice, but you didn't really give a time frame on that, so I'm not really sure exactly where you want me to go with it. Josh, holy shit, man! Thanks for that, Josh. Wow, that's awesome, man. Very humbling. When trading, how can I recognize if I'm stupid and if I'm a stupid bull making money in a bull market, or actually being a successful trader? Also, can I look at daily on Raven? V though. What's V though? Is that a ticker? Or is that a meanie? Yeah, we can look at Raven. Okay, so the question is, or first let's talk about Raven, then we'll get to that question, because I actually want you to, you didn't give a base pairing on it, so I'm just gonna go to US dollar. Okay, so while I'm answering this portion of it, if you could you provide a little more background on exactly what you mean by that? How can I recognize if I'm a stupid bull making money in a bull market, or actually being a successful trader? Could you provide a little bit more background on that, as I think that would help, because I can go a lot of different ways with that, and we are already an hour and 20 minutes into this, so I do want to wrap things up relatively soon. Anyways, short term, I'd be looking for a little bit of downside here. Well, I don't know. Would I be saying that? Let's go to a daily. Yeah, if it does have a short-term downside move to like 14 cents or so, I'd be looking at that as an opportunity. This one obviously is having a clear breakout and a clear change of behavior, so I would be looking at that. Any sort of a short-term downside move as likely an opportunity, and does work its way back up to about 21.5 cents. Is V though a ticker? Let's see if anything pops up here. All right, VTHO. Yeah, it is. Okay, fair enough. All right. Same thing on this one too. Basically same chart right here. Daily, I'd be looking for it to reapproach that 0.067 high, or basically like, what is this? A 7/10 of a cent right there. I'm basically looking for it to reapproach the prior high. Again, hidden bullish divergences all off the lows right here. I'd be bullish on this one. Yes. Okay, cool. Let's see. All right. I'll look for that name too, just see if he has responded. Okay, no. All right. So to answer the second portion of your question, how can I recognize if I'm a stupid bull making money in a bull market or actually being a successful trader? It's very difficult. You actually don't know. So if you are going to be a stupid bull making money in a bull market, that calls into question like what your actual strategy is. If your strategy is just to buy every fucking dip, so to speak, or DERP, buy every fucking DERP, then what I would say is that's gonna be in the stupid bull territory. But really, what makes you a stupid bull in a bull market is the inability to turn paper profits into realized profits. Obviously, because that is very likely, I'm going to assume, your goal at the end of the day. So with that in mind, I don't know until I actually comment on that. But then again, you could also just make the argument that, well, you can make a bunch of different arguments. If your goal is to make money in a bear market, which I don't know if it is or not, maybe you just leave the market in a bear market. Maybe that's a win in and of itself too. I could perhaps change around my answer on that one, but I would say it mostly comes down to the fact that, are you actually turning these gains into realized gains, something that you can actually use? Because as of right now, it's still pretty inconvenient to use Bitcoin for most things, if not pretty much everything. I can't really comment too much on top of it, but that would be like the basis of anything that I'm going to say. All right, a couple last ones here. Scott Carney says, if you're bullish on Bitcoin to keep going up, shouldn't Bitcoin miners like Marathon Digital go up as well, as they are correlated? I don't know. Are they correlated? The charts don't look too correlated to me. I mean, I see a long-term downtrend on that Mara chart, and I don't see a long-term downtrend on Bitcoin. So I would disagree on the premise of that. You kind of see the same things in like gold and gold miners, but because we don't really have like a standardized way of looking at that just yet, and also it's pretty young in its life, and also we don't really know which ones are legit too. I don't think that you can just blindly say that in the same way that like it's relevant for gold. Over time, yes. Like, all of the gold miners, like, we know are pretty damn well established. So they actually are pretty damn good insight into what gold is going to do. In fact, I would even say that the miners are good forecasting for what Bitcoin's going to do, not the other way around. So I don't think we have a mature enough market to say that just yet. It's still pretty damn young for that. Fishing with Donnie says Ren or Algo. Ren or Algo, and we can look at, I guess, Ren, I suppose. No base pair, no time frame. Oh, come on, man, come on, sir. All right, Binance over here. Again, long term, does this one stand out as like one of the best shitcoin charts? Absolutely not. No. But is it going to join the rally? Very likely, yes. I'd be looking for an upside move towards like 2650-ish region. You didn't give a time frame or any sort of any other sorts of things. Bit of pumping and dumping going on here too, but I do think that the next move likely is up. The market kind of gets to go with each other right now. We'll look at Algo really quick here too, and then hopefully wrap this bitch up, sirs and zers. Algo USD on Kraken, probably not the best exchange to be looking at it on. Yeah, very likely does retest that 1.25 high, I'd imagine. Again, no time frame there, so I don't really know where else to go with that one. Josh says, I've done all your programs and I tripled my portfolio since January. Jesus Christ, man. Since January playing Bitcoin pairings, but I don't know if I'm getting lucky most of the time. Yes, I'm realizing my gains. If you're realizing your gains, then who cares if you're getting lucky or not? And also congratulations on tripling your portfolio. It sounds like you're being pretty fucking aggressive, but hey, man, more power to you. It sounds like it's working out for you. It is one of those times to be aggressive if you are going to be aggressive as well. What I would say is, again, it comes down to your ability to actually realize those profits. If you can do that, then yes. But here's the thing. Here's the big thing. So now I can speak a little more directly to you now that I have a bit more color on this background. Okay. Yes, there is going to be an air of like getting lucky, and it's just, a symptom of the market cycle. Absolutely. But your ability to identify that sort of a market cycle is skill. And your ability, and your next ability that's going to be very, very important here, is your ability to actually identify when things reverse and it's no longer time to just be blindly buying most things and being very aggressive. So what I would say with that is, specifically to you, because it does sound like you're playing more long-term and you're basing your sort of decisions off of the market cycle, which is a fine thing to do. I mean, just playing bullish markets is actually a pretty wise decision because, well, it's a lot more fucking easy, as the saying goes. I mean, it is true. So the next segment, the next big skill, if you already haven't done this, which I imagine you already have seen as you've done all the programs, is being able to identify when that market cycle changes. And I actually just released a video yesterday, I think it was, with like 30 minutes full of all the different ways that you can look at for a market reversal. But, in the most basic of basic senses, again, seen as you seem to be a lot more long-term minded and based off the market cycle, the easiest and most simplest way to understand that would just be a weekly trend change, of which we don't have anything resembling a downtrend on the weekly as it is right now. I mean, Bitcoin would literally have to come back down below $32,000 for that to be a reality. So now more speaking towards you, it's who cares if you're getting lucky or not right now. Just recognize when the market changes so that you so that you can change your strategy or two. All right, I think that is just about it. Let's go back over and wrap this bitch up. Let me just set up these charts right now. And okay, we'll go back here. Yes, we want to have this in line as well. Okay. And also, let's go over here to the market data tab. Okay, cool. Okay, cool. All right. Let's see. Bitcoin on the shorter term time frame still playing within the medium term time frame range between about 51,500 to the upside versus $45,000 to the downside. Since we just tested the top side of this range, I would be looking for the next move to come down alongside momentum oscillators also all twisting down as we speak right now. 4-hour Stokes coming down, 3-hour Stokes coming down, bi-hourly Stokes coming down, and hourly Stokes also coming down. It's like you get some down, you get some down, and you get some down. Of course, we do have to be cognizant of the CME closure on Friday, which was right around $49,500 as well. So I do think it's rather likely that Bitcoin does see that next downside move on the short-term timeframes. Do not confuse this, though, with being bearish on Bitcoin on anything that is a medium or even higher-term timeframe, of course. And that is coming in line with our underlying market dynamics, suggesting that we are seeing reaccumulation at this level. Open interest is very much indicative of that, as we do see it essentially cradle the base at about 7 billion and increase on those upside moves within the accumulation range between about 55 and 45,000 bucks on the long-term timeframes. Now, on the funny rate as well, we have seen essentially a trend down emerge ever since basically the high at about 58,000 bucks. And I look at this as, as another indication that we are resetting long term. Now, with all of that in mind, I do still think that there is a threat of a downside move, like an actual downside move here, not a reversal. Keep in mind, I don't really have any major talks of like a market reversal for a while, but it is concerning to me that a lot of people say, or a lot of people are literally saying Bitcoin cannot go down to 40,000 bucks for whatever silly reasons that don't really work out all that much logically. I always get very, 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 very on edge whenever I see comments like that, or whenever I see people very much certain that can't happen, because if you've been in this game long enough, you have seen everything and that's possible basically happen. And at this point right here, I do want to point out something that has had 100% accuracy since the genesis of Bitcoin, which is the monthly Bollinger Bands. Anytime that we have seen a closure above the top side of Bollinger Bands, we have always 100% of the time seen a test down to the top side of the Bollinger Band, which are at the very least sometimes, a lot of times even just wicks below. So with that in mind, that top side Bollinger Band on the monthly is coming in around 41,000 bucks right now. We have the same sort of signature also on a bi-monthly here too. Less information, but still very much relevant. And that same level would be right below 39,000 bucks. So I do still think that there is a threat of that move. Doesn't mean that it's going to happen. I mean, certainly trends were made to be broken, but something that does have 100% accuracy thus far, I do think is relevant to talk about. Now, of course, that can also that test to these levels can happen one of two ways. Either we literally come down and test it, or Bitcoin gets so damn green here that it actually pulls up the top side Bollinger Band, being that it is a reactive indicator, to the bottom side of 45,000 bucks. That would likely happen at a price action point of about 60, a little bit above 60,000 bucks if I had to guess. but anywhere around there. Anyways, again, do not confuse the long term with the short term. As short term, yes, Bitcoin very likely does come down here. I'd be looking for a small bounce off of like the $49,000 territory, and that would, or sorry, 49,500 on CMEs, which would be about 49,000 on spot price action right here, wherever we kind of closed off on Friday. And does Bitcoin get a little bit of continuation to the bottom side of the range after that? Personally speaking, I do think so. I don't think that this is an inverted head and shoulders right here, mostly because your right shoulder is dragging on a lot right now. But at the end of the day, as people are looking at this as an inverted head and shoulders, I would say that it is going to work out as a nice breakout with this, with what would be your neckline being taken out anyways. So at the end of the day, I don't really care about what fucking English name you put on these sort of formations here. At the end of the day, it's it's a game of ranges in my experience for the most part. And as long as we're below 51,500 on a 4-hour closure at the very least, I don't see any threat of like even a medium term time frame upside move to 54 or 55,000 bucks. Again, this is where I get bullish, looking for targets back up into the low $6,000 region, above 54 to 55,000 bucks, depending upon time frame. Obviously, daily above 54 is good enough, and 4-hour above 55 would be good enough for myself. Into the downside, same thing, 45,000 bucks right here. So even though I did talk about the downside earlier, potentially coming all the way down to 40,000 bucks, I don't look at that as actionable as long as Bitcoin is above this pivot, again, on a 4-hour and daily, respectively, between 44.4 and 45,000 bucks even. If that does happen, yeah, I'd be looking for a targeted region of about 39 to 40,000 bucks down here. But for right now, just short term, I'd be looking for a little bit of sideways and down. And does Bitcoin have another bounce off of either the $49,000 level or the $47,500 level? Very, very likely yes. And then we'll come back to it later today on the late day wrap up to kind of shore up the short-term timeframes, which I do think play extremely well and extremely in line with what we see over here on traditional markets, of which we do see that SPY's put in a bit of a lower high, hidden bearish divergence, very likely. Actually, no, it's not going to be there. So any sort of a downside move, maybe back down to like 3,800-ish region, probably does bounce it. Same thing on NASDAQ here too. This one obviously a lot more obvious as a lower high right now. Probably does come back down to about 12,450 to 12,400-ish region. And Dow Jones, same thing here too, but this one definitely the most healthy and maybe like 31.3 to 31,250-ish region. So with all of that said, short term sideways and down, as we did just test the top side of the short term, medium term range, and then but long term, I still look at this as reaccumulation and very likely to be resolved to the upside over time, probably either maybe even later this week or next week. I do think that we are approaching the resolution of this relatively soon based off of HVP down here. Anyways, that's it for right now. I want to say a massive thank you for coming on out. It's been an absolute pleasure. Really good conversations today as well, and I wish you the best of the best. Take